people often bring up the United States is not a democracy; it's a republic. That it's representative. Is there some interesting tensions there in terminology, or is can you maybe kind of expand on the different versions of democracy? So the philosophy of democracy, but also the practical implementations of it.
Sure. The founders intended for us to be a democracy. This argument that they wanted us to be a republic instead of a democracy is one of these made-up myths. They believed that fundamentally what they were creating was a society, very few of which had existed before, a society where the government would be of the people, by the people, for the people. That's what they expected, right? That's what it meant. So the legitimacy of our government was not going to be that the person in charge was of royal blood. That's the way the Europeans did it. Or that the person in charge had killed enough people, a la Genghis Khan, or that the person in charge was serving a particular class. It was that the person in charge, the institutions were to serve the people. They adopted Republican tools to get there because they were fearful, appropriately, of simply throwing every issue up to the masses. Democracy is not mob rule. Democracy is where you create procedures to assess the public will and to act in ways that serve the public without harming other elements of the public that are not in the majority. That's why we have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights. And for their time, the founders did not believe that women should be part of this discussion, that they were not capable. They were wrong about that. In their time, that's how they thought. We've, of course, changed that. They believed you had to have property to have a stake. We don't believe that anymore. So we can argue over the details, and those 50 years from now will criticize us, right, for the way we think about these things. But it was fundamentally about, this is the radicalism of the American experiment, that government should serve the people, all people.
So democracy means of the people, by the people, for the people, and then it doesn't actually give any details of how you implement that, because you could implement all kinds of ways.
Well, and I think what we've learned as historians, and I think what the founders knew, because they were very well read in the history of Rome and Greece, was that democracy will always have unique characteristics for the culture that it's in. If coming out of the war against Russia, Ukraine is able to build a better democracy than it had before, it's never going to look like the United States. I'm not saying it's going to be worse or better. Culture matters. The particular history of societies matters. Japan is a vibrant democracy. I've been there many times. It does not look at all like the American democracy. So democracy is a set of values. The implementation of those values is a set of practical institutional decisions one makes based in one's cultural position.
So just to linger on that topic, is there, if you do representative, you said democracy should not, one failure mode is mob rule. So it should not descend into that. Not every issue should be up to everybody.
Correct.
Okay, so you have representation, but Stalin similarly felt that he could represent the interests of the public. He was also helping represent the interests of the public. So that's a failure mode too. If the people representing the public become more and more powerful, they start becoming detached from actually being able to represent or having just a basic human sense of what the public wants.
I think being of the people, by the people, for the people means you are in some way accountable to the people. And the problem with the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, this was already evident before Stalin came into power, is the same problem the Communist Party of China has today, which is that you have leadership that's non-accountable.